the city announcing recently it's releasing 71.8 hectares of the Annandale farm in Milnerton, and it's a public-private project to address affordable housing issues in that area. The site could become a whole new mixed neighborhood, potentially including affordable and other housing, retail, schools, community facilities. The big question is, who is the housing actually intended for? It is adjacent across the N7 to Dunoon. Will it meaningfully address housing pressure in that area, or simply adds more homes to the Cape Town broader housing pool? Carl Pophaim is the MACO member for Human Settlements in the city. Good morning, Carl. Given that Annandale is directly opposite Dunoon, is the intention for this development to address the housing pressure in Dunoon specifically, or will these homes be allocated through the city's broader housing and affordable housing system?
No, thanks, Lester. No, absolutely. Dunoon and so many others. At the end of the day, being an affordable housing development, we are going to drive 10-year rentals for families earning anywhere between 3,500 up to 30,000 rand in mixed income. And if one knows anything about Dunoon and the growing rental model that takes place within the area, market research has shown us that rentals in Dunoon range anywhere from 500 rand to 5,000 rand a month. So that shows that there is the ability to access the rental market. We just need to create it and enable it. And so certainly the Annandale development is going to create a brilliant opportunity for families in Dunoon to be able to access dignified, reliable and safe affordable housing quite close to Dunoon as well, but also broadly within cities. Young professionals who cannot access Burgundy Estate or Century City will now have access to a mixed income development that will have spaces to live, work and play within our city. And so I'm quite excited about this major release that has taken place.
How many housing opportunities are we looking at there?
Well, of course, the successful developer will do their own planning, but from our research that we've undertaken, we're expecting no less than 5,000 housing opportunities over the 71 hectares. That's obviously very conservative in basic planning, but with densities and integrated planning, we predict even up to 10,000 opportunities is possible within the space.
The commentary that I'm reading online in the local groups that I've read in the local newspapers of the Tableview area, the commentary over the lack of existing infrastructure, road access. This has become a regular refrain in parcels of land that have been identified around lower to middle income neighborhoods, already saying that this space is already busy. It is already densified. We already have issues with sewerage infrastructure. What's the city's response to people who say it's far too busy in terms of traffic to build up to 10,000 homes in this area?
Well, look, let me first say and be clear, I'm one of those residents. I live in less than 5 kilometers from the site, so I appreciate where my neighbors and colleagues and friends are coming from. Here's the reality. While we package and we support the acceleration of the site, the successful developer is going to go through a rigorous land use application and development planning process like other developers. And so where there are requirements for investment in bulk infrastructure, the installation of roads and the expansion of infrastructure, those conditions will be placed on the successful developers. Nowhere do we undertake developments within the city where there are requirements for more infrastructure. Contrary to what is said, whether it's in Rondebosch and Kromboom where we're going to expand the road as required by our development planning colleagues to increase space on the bridge, we do so. And so whatever is required in order to activate the Annandale development, those conditions will be placed on our developer, and we'll support them in making sure it's made to ensure we have sufficient capacity.
And this is a question that speaks to how spatial integration is complicated. ABRs, I hope they would build a train station there. All these new developments must be built with public transport in mind, because the city says it wants to undo apartheid spatial planning, putting people closer to where jobs are. But if residents still have poor access to reliable public transport and employment, simply putting houses close to the N7 doesn't necessarily create that integration.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a very important way how we can ensure that we can expand our rail network and making sure it's reliable. That's by changing the government that manages it. But more importantly, that the city is expanding, the city is growing, migration is rapidly increasing. And it's happening up into the north and that corridor as well. What this development does, it unlocks the ability for the city's planning colleagues to expand the urban edge and to integrate rapid transport planning. The reality is that while we've seen through Dunoon occupation and invasion growing the settlements, we haven't seen the ability to drive formal development into this northern corridor. What Annandale does is allows the city to now plan for broad, expansive development, and I'm encouraged as part of the planning process to unlock this development. Our integrated transport planning college, particularly from a bus perspective, is now able to look at how we expand routes into this space, and so that's why in this ever-growing space for the city's metro.
Carl Pophaim is the Mako member for human settlements in the city of Cape Town. I believe we need to create housing opportunities. We have a supply issue in this city, particularly for lower to middle income young professional families in the city.